Hi, preschool leaders. We're preparing for January 10th in our series called Beginning Again. In this series, we are taking a step back, beginning at the very beginning of the Bible again, to remind us of God's character. When we remember from the very beginning, God has been consistent in his character and that he desires for all of us to know him and to worship him with our whole lives, then as we begin to trudge through the, or not necessarily trudge, but excitedly move through the New Testament, then we are going to remember why we can trust this big God, because it is the same God that was the God of Adam and Eve, as we learned about last week. And this week we're going to be talking about Jacob and Esau. I want to point out a couple of things to you that you will notice in your leader lessons. The first page of your leader lesson is for you as a small group leader. You do not, in fact, I encourage you not to read word for word what is written on this page to your little ones. This is written in bigger person language to help us as small group leaders learn what we are trying to communicate to kids. And so use this as your personal study. In fact, I encourage you, now that we're beginning January again, use this as a time to get in God's Word and to have personal study of your own. Use this as the guide that you use each week to prepare yourself to know what God's Word says. As you begin to study it with your kids, you will begin to have different kind of conversations in your houses because you're doing this together. So this first page is for you as a small group leader, all right? The back page is for you to lead from. You will notice at the top of each of the page, it has a section called Introduce the Story. This is the section that you can read word for word to your little ones to help them understand the Bible story before you play it either on your Roku channel or on your DVD. After you have read this and played your video, then you have a few games. 3 and 4-year-olds, you guys have a social activity. And your social activity is a magnetic fishing game. These activities are for you to have a way to engage with kids before you begin the lesson. I know you have a few extra toys in your room, but how much better would it be if you actually sit down and play those games with the kids? It will help them feel like there's something to come into, and you will begin to see your kiddos will begin to trust you faster because you engaged with them quickly and that you didn't engage with them by giving them a toy to play with. They want to trust you, and you are there to help build that trust so that we can share big things about the truth and the Bible. Our Sunday morning experience is to give the kids a first taste of the gospel, even your very littlest ones. Most of them need for us to be the spark in their family that helps them understand what the Bible is and why we teach from it. Then if you have little ones, 1s and 2s, you have some masks that you can use to play dress up. Allow kids to choose a mask and to act like the animal that is on their mask. And then ask the kids if they can guess who is under that mask. Maybe you want to play that as well. So this is for your little ones. This relates back to our Bible story of Jacob and Esau. Remember, Jacob and Rebekah tricked their dad. They tricked Isaac into giving Jacob Esau's blessing. And he put fur on his arms because his brother was a very hairy man. And so what we're doing is giving the kids a chance to see what it's like to dress up and be disguised. You also have a coloring page. If you have older kids, you have a little bit of a craft to do with them. You have some lentils and you have some cotton balls. You have some gauze to act like your fur. I know it's not quite so furry, but you can use some of your cotton balls if you need to. You also have some cutouts of hands in there, as well as a spoon. And what the kids are going to do with that is tape or glue, most likely tape them to your activity page and remind them about each part of the Bible story as you walk through all of that on your activity page. Then you can pray with your kids and encourage them to go home and to talk about how God's character in this story reminds us that he always keeps his promises. What we see in this story is even though Jacob and Rebekah were tricky and played a mean trick, quite honestly, on Esau, that God had a plan and that he continues to do his plan even when there are bad things happening around us. Thank you so much for leading. I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.